Good morning. Welcome to this webinar, which is a continuation of Step 4, Implementation and Support of the West Virginia Leaders of Literacy Campaign for Grade Level Reading. I'm Charlotte Webb, and I'm the Coordinator of Elementary Education and the point of contact for the Campaign for Grade Level Reading. I'm here with my colleague, Monica Delamay, Lead Coordinator in the Office of Early Learning. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yes.
We also have other colleagues with us this morning, Melanie Perkey, the Executive Director of the Office of Federal Programs, and Robert Crawford, the Assistant Director of the Office of Federal Programs. We want to welcome you.
Good morning.
They're going to be sharing with you a little later in this webinar. Again, we are honored that you've joined us today as we share some additional information with you.
Pardon? No.
Let me just say, if you have not muted your sound, please do so. For whatever reason, my computer's not letting me mute everyone at one time. So as you come on, if you'll just please take the responsibility to go ahead and mute yourself. We're going to be sharing some additional information resources as you continue to develop and implement your county's local campaign for grade level reading. Proceed, again, just a reminder to make sure that you are muted. If you have questions as we move through this information, just tap them in the chat box and we will try to stop periodically and answer those. The webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the campaign website for you to use following this session. Our goals for this morning are to provide the timeline for the next steps of implementation. We want to make available additional resources to you that have been developed and that we hope will be beneficial as you complete your action plan and implementation. We're going to discuss some opportunities for funding and how you can use your funding to make the most of the funding that you do have available. And then we'll look at the next steps in the campaign. To begin with, we're going to go ahead and start with the timeline. You can see that we have a lot of things coming up. I know this information went out in the superintendent's memo, as well as it was sent in an email to superintendents, the county points of contact for the local campaigns, RESA directors, and their professional development directors. But I just want to make sure everybody gets the same information. So if you'll take a look at the timeline, May 20th, and we're going to discuss this grant a little more as we go along in the webinar, but just know that May 20th, this is an additional funding source. It is not any of the money that counties. This is an additional opportunity for funding for the county campaigns for grade level reading that will go to RESAs. This will be a competitive grant, and that the applications will open May 20th. May 25th, registration is going to open for the summer technical assistance meeting, where county their points of contact and then their chosen members that they choose to include in this meeting from their team will come together and have an opportunity to look over your plans, talk to some additional partners from the state and national level as well as local partners, and just see if there are any additions or tweaks that you'll want to make to your county's plan of action. June 1st, the county action plans are due. June 5th and 9th, we have a team that will be coming together to review those county action plans and provide you very focused feedback about you know, what you can do to strengthen your plan, just really ensuring that you have a system in place for tracking your data, being able to know that you are actually moving the needle towards the goals that you've set. That feedback will be provided to counties the week of June 15th. July 1st, Any revisions that you decide to make, if you need to make any revisions, those will be due July 1st, as well as that's when the funding will be available to counties. So if your county action plan has been approved, then you will be able to receive funding July 1st. Then July 20th and 21st, that is that technical assistance team meeting that we discussed. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Monica, and we're going to take a look at some resources that are available.
Good morning, everybody. I ask one more time, if you've yet to mute yourself, please do so that we can make sure everyone can hear us okay. Okay, thank you. So what you see on your screen now is actually Charlotte's OneDrive, and you superintendents and county points of contact were given access to this folder on Monday evening, most of you, and some of you have requested access for others since then, for other members of your early literacy team. So earlier this morning we added the PDF documents that were emailed to superintendents, to county points of contact, to RESA professional development directors and RESA directors on Monday to this folder for your review. But I'm just going to take you through these and speak a little bit more about them as we go. So the first thing that I want to show you is the County Action Plan template. Now, many of you asked for a template for some time, and due to that, we did provide a template for you to utilize. It's not mandatory. However, I think that it could potentially make your life much easier if you follow the flow of the template. It spells exactly, or it speaks exactly as to what the plan will require. The plan itself is, of course, included on wvleadersofliteracy.com, and we'll go there in a little bit to show you where you can find that information that will look more in depth at each of the questions. The front sheet is important, though, because we do want to know the county early literacy team members contributing to the plan, your county, and so on. The county action plan, the different sections are just broken down basically, and you'll see after we go to the Leaders of Literacy website and look at the plan, you'll get more information about, for example, what current data means and what you could utilize to include in that section. Part 2, of course, your goals and impact. Part 3 is your strategy. That's basically what you're going to do, the initiatives, activities, programs that you'll plan based on the data you've identified that would indicate a need within a county or a section of your county. The data, of course, is important. What are you going to do to know that what you are doing is working? What type of data will you get? And then Part 5 is success and sustainability. Is this something that will have the potential to continue on, or is this something that would be done for a specific period of time only? So that's the template. And then we're back here to the County Action Plan rubric for review. We have a review team that's comprised of individuals from many different entities. And if you've not looked at this yet, I would encourage you to do so. This is what our review team will use when we get together June 5th and June 9th, and they'll have access to look at the plans prior to that certainly as well. But really the first page is what we're looking at. The County Early Literacy Action Plan meets the requirements needed to implement a transformative system of support, or we'll be able to check it does not yet meet the requirements. And we put does not yet meet the requirements because we don't want this to be a yes, you get your funding for the year, or no, you do not get your funding for the year. If there are things that need to be identified in your plan to show how you're going to demonstrate use of the funds, then we'll indicate so and give you the opportunity to do so. I know Charlotte mentioned with the timeline that July 1st is the date that the revisions would be due for your county action plan. However, we will be looking at those July 20th and 21st as well at our technical assistance meeting that we'll tell you a little bit more about here in a few minutes. And this is to be a process or a living document. So please keep that in mind. I've spoken with a few counties, and that seems to have alleviated a bit of the stress about the deadline. Knowing that we've talked about the policy since I believe our first webinar was in December that we provided, knowing that the plan would need to be completed, you know, it's not like we've just given this deadline to come about. So we absolutely, though, want to work with counties, work with teams, and make this as seamless as possible.
Yes. And Monica, I know several counties have contacted me about the possibility of an extension, and there won't be an extension simply because we realize, just like Monica said, that plans, you know, probably will need ongoing revision and get more information, more knowledge and understanding about the plan and what you have available to you as far as resources. So whatever you have June the 1st, I would encourage you to just go ahead and turn that in, and again, that team will be giving you some feedback to support you as you make revisions.
Okay. So you'll see that each of the sections are broken down and are worded specifically based on what the county action plan asks for on the Leaders of Literacy website. So I would encourage you to have this section open, the rubric, because this is what we'll be looking at, the county action plan that is available on the Leaders of Literacy website, and then if you choose to use the template, have that open as well, and you can utilize the rubric to see what the plan, what we'll be looking at from the plan, and then add in your own county's steps. So basically go on, and all the different sections have points attributed to them. And please, if everyone could remember to make sure you're muted. I apologize for continuing to ask, but that way we make sure that everyone can hear me appropriately or hear us appropriately. So we've gone through the county action plan template, the county action plan rubric. The next thing I'd like to show you is the county budget allocation. And some people have had a few questions about how to read this and the exact amounts of money that they'll receive. The formula that was utilized is a 50-25-25 formula. And it's 2 pages long, but the 50% breakdown by county is based on the low SES number of students enrolled in grades pre-K through 3. So that was weighted because we want these efforts to make sure that we're focusing on those children with high need. 25% was based on the number of schools serving children in grades pre-K through 3. 25% was based on the actual head count of children enrolled in grades pre-K through 3. And then this is the column that you'll really want to pay attention to, this last column on the second page, the actual amount that your county is eligible to receive as a result of this funding opportunity. So based on completion of your early literacy plan and this step, then you'll be eligible to receive these funds for the upcoming school year. You'll just bear with us just a second. I see a few folks who may not be muted. All right. Okay, so that was the allocation, and now I'd like to show you the budget template. And so this is your front page. A few considerations. This is how you'll use the money, identify, or the money to look at the projects or initiatives that you've identified in your county plan. There is a budget narrative that will ask you to include more specific information about your budget. The activities, programs, and initiatives need to be based on the data collected in your needs assessment. And this is important. You are not required to reserve state early literacy allocation funding for all campaign components. You'll just simply enter 0 in the right-hand column for those components where no state early literacy allocation funding will be utilized. We also provided a sample budget template in this OneDrive folder for your reference if you would be interested in looking at that as well. So this is where you would break down those different areas that you plan to use your state allocation. And then you'll have your budget narrative. You'll basically include your description of your planned action and the amount of the state allocation that will go toward those efforts. With each main area of the state allocation, you'll include total school readiness efforts. We're going to try to mute a few more people here. We can hear some of you. Thank you all for bearing with us. For some reason, it's the webinar platform isn't allowing us to mute everyone. So we are working on that. And again, I'm still hearing someone who's not muted. So if you could please make sure to mute yourself on the call, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. If you have specific questions other than just the general things we're going over today, always feel free to contact us. We'll show you our emails and our contact information here in a few minutes. So we've gone through the template now. The last 4 documents are the things that were emailed to you on Monday. One is the timeline. Charlotte's already gone over the components that are on the timeline as well. The sample early literacy budget was not emailed, but it is included here for your reference, and you're welcome to open that to see some examples of what the funding could potentially be used to support. You'll also notice that at the end of the budget template, there is an optional section. Let me open that back up again. I'm sorry. I do want to show you this because it's something that you may just bear with us, please. We're so muted. Bear with us. We do appreciate you bearing with us, folks. We just want to make sure everyone can hear. And Karen has a question we will address in just a few minutes about combining money, and that's why we have our friends from federal programs here. But before we go through that, I just want to show you this last page. This is completely optional, and this would allow you to take a look at other funding sources and what you would look at as a county team. Are there other funding sources you would utilize potentially to assist with your school readiness efforts or your attendance efforts and so on and so forth? So again, that's completely optional, but it may help you as you plan.
And don't forget, you are welcome to engage with partners, that you feel will benefit your county plan, but there is no mandate from us that you have to engage with any certain partners. And even if you do engage with partners, there's no mandate that you have to use this money to, support their efforts in your campaign.
That's been a specific question we've had fielded to us. Do we have to partner with specific entities? And again, that's a good point, Charlotte. The answer is no. We do want you to recognize where the needs are in your county and move forward as such. So the next document I'd like to show you, if you've yet to see it, is the announcement about our technical assistance meeting, July 20th and 21st at Embassy Suites. It's important that your county early literacy lead, a point person identified by your superintendent, attend. But then we also invite you to choose up to 3 additional individuals to attend. And please consider as well that we will have travel stipends available to counties in addition to their early literacy allocation. We have a pocket of money that can help support travel to this event for attendees to participate both days. And per the timeline we shared earlier, registration for this meeting will open on May 25th. I know that's Memorial Day, but we will go ahead and open it up on that day. And it will be available, the registration link will be available on our wvleadersofliteracy.org or .com. Have I gotten all of them now? I believe so. Yeah. If there are, like I said, if there are ever questions about these, please always feel free to let us know. And next, I believe we're going to talk about funding. Right? I'll let Charlotte take the reins again, and then we'll turn it over to Melanie and Robert here in just a moment. Actually, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Melanie and Robert now.
Okay, we just wanted to reassure that issues related to applicable ESEA resources that could support this plan, and now is the time to certainly be thinking about that with FY16 funding applications being completed, and we're holding regional workshops with federal program directors to work on those applications, and this issue has come up at most of those. So we wanted to talk about the various title programs and how they could be, the funding in those programs might be used to support components within your plan. And the first is Title I, and you'll see in these charts we just color-coded if it's the green or the lighter green shade. Those are funds that could be used for county-wide types of programming, and if it's blue, it's reserved for specific schools and, in, for instance, Title I schools. So in this Title I slide, you'll see that you can have your LEA reservation for county-wide or district-wide programming, and that could support extended learning and early attendance pattern work or readiness work with your parent involvement county set-aside. So you could look at summer school, and many of you already fund summer school programs with your county set-aside for Title I. And then when you're looking at your individual Title I schools, you could look at anything related to a school-wide reform strategy, which targets low-achieving students, and all of the components of your early literacy program could fit into some budgetary commitments that you make in those Title I budgets. Highly qualified instructors, that's another area that we focus on with Title I fund. Any targeted PD that you need to support related to your literacy component could be supported in a Title I school with their professional development funds. Parent involvement, we think that both your county set-aside but also the school set-aside for parent involvement could be used to address issues related to early attendance patterns and working with parents to create and enforce those early attendance patterns, as well as any of your readiness work that you're doing related to your literacy plan. And again, your transition plans, there are requirements for transition planning, primarily from pre-K programs into the grade school or the elementary school, that as though it's through all of the early childhood years. So if you're doing any transition work in students from pre-K through 3rd grade, you could utilize some of your Title I funding in those schools to do that. Title II is more reserved strictly for highly qualified teacher concerns, but again, any PD that you had related to your early literacy program, you could support with Title II funds for all the schools in your county.
Okay, and Title III is our dedicated federal funding to support English language learners. So obviously, if you're talking about a literacy, early literacy component, you would see obviously the connection there in your needs assessment, particularly if you have a significant number of English language learners in your county. So again, obviously the whole program purpose of Title III is to promote development of English language proficiency in terms of a reading or literacy component to that, anything related to instruction and extended learning, a dedicated strand that you might be doing specifically to support English language learners, bringing back in the parents and family engagement components, Again, as we talked about the early attendance patterns or the readiness, anything, again, targeted for English language learners. Specifically, you can find some support staff for your literacy plan, as well as highly qualified instructors. Again, targeted PD in all those areas of the literacy component, anything related to English language learners, that could be something to supplement your existing efforts there. So we move on then to our next title funding, which we have our Title IV, which is related to our 21st century community grants. And if you have an existing project already that has a focus on literacy or any of the components such as the parent engagement, parent involvement, also we have the extended learning, the after school program, you see the natural connection there with your existing projects. And then when the new competition becomes available and funding is available in future years, you would be able to think perhaps in terms of what your efforts are in terms of the literacy plan at that point. And then our last set of title funding, our Title VI rural and low income, for those counties that receive this, is our most flexible set of funding. Again, you see what we previously discussed in terms of highly qualified instructors, parent-family engagement, and then specifically rural low income is designed to support those existing other programs, Title I, Title II, and Title III. So again, this is an opportunity for you to apply funds, not just even in those areas, but also to do this countywide, because again, these are our most flexible set of federal funding that we have.
Thank you, Robert and Melanie. We really appreciate you assisting and providing that clarification as well. Just to give you all a little context for the $5.7 million that was allocated in the governor's 2016 budget, we did want to let everyone know that 75% of the $5.7 million is, of course, being directed to counties based on that allocation chart that you just saw previously. And so the remaining 25%, though, I just want to speak about that for a moment. Of the remaining 25%, we'll be doing a few things. We will be able to establish a statewide system of support for early literacy. We'll be partnering with, we were happy to announce last night, Superintendent Martirano announced last night, so I'm sure it's okay to announce now, a partnership with the June Harless Center at Marshall University to establish a statewide system of support. So we know that there is a lot of information to come about that, and we will make sure we keep you all abreast of that as it develops. But we want to make sure that we have more personalized support on the ground with teams, with schools, with classrooms to assist with all components of the campaign. We also have the RESA competitive grants that are available, as Charlotte mentioned earlier. I got the question the other day about the RESA competitive grants as to why the RESAs wouldn't necessarily be part of a county campaign, and I said that's not it at all. We absolutely want the RESAs to be part of county campaigns, and you know, along the way, as we've done this webinar series, we've spoken to the importance of including partners, including RESAs, within the county team. This is just something above and beyond that county allocation. The funding that would be available for a RESA to work with their counties or a specific number of counties, doesn't have to be every county in your RESA necessarily, but for them to work and look at the data in their county or their counties within their RESA and see where the greatest needs are and put together a proposal to help support campaign efforts at that level. The next section is continued development of the reporting system for early learning, just maintenance of that development, reports, and so on. And then the last component is a longitudinal study to look at the impact of high-quality early learning programming on student achievement, and we'll have more information about that as it becomes available as well. So I did want to at least let you know about the remaining 25% and speak to that. So.
Let's take a break just for a second and address some questions that have been asked.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is, can the money be combined with federal money without supplanting? So I'll let Melanie and Robert speak to that.
Yes, the federal money can be used in all of the ways that we mentioned. And this money is in addition to state aid formula money and other types of things. You still have to be careful of issues related to comparability. So, but I don't think that these funds are going to be enough funds to hire a lot more teachers on state dollars to throw your comparability off. But basically, just make sure that you're still within comparability on the staff issue, and all of the things that we talked about that are components with extended learning time. Extended learning time is not a supplant issue because it's time over and above the state required instructional time. So I really, if you have specific situations in your county that you think might be a problem, then just please contact us and we can work through that. But typically most of your after-school programs and summer school programs were paid with out of other grants, like 21st Century, and there's not a supplanting issue when it's federal and federal.
And particularly if it's something that's overlaying an existing area here, if you're providing extra interventions or targeted specific components for a particular target group, for example, the Title III, or even with low SES, if that's above and beyond what you're providing as a basis part of your literacy plan, definitely you would not have any risk at all of supplanting at that point.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. Please give more information about the June Harless Center resource.
Well, it's actually a really exciting collaboration. The June Harless Center has a long-standing relationship with the Department of Education with many projects, but they've done a lot of work around school readiness with us in the past, and with professional learning in general. So it's an exciting collaboration. We're looking at capacity building as far as the individuals who could be out in the field working with county teams, and also who could potentially be available to assist with any of those components of the campaign, including looking at early attendance efforts, extended day, extended year programming, school readiness, of course, family engagement, and then high quality instruction as well. So we will be we will, in collaboration with the June Harless Center, be hiring up to 5 early literacy specialists who can assist and really serve as extensions of the Office of Early Learning, in a sense, to help promote this campaign and assist teams as they move forward. And like I said, as we learn more information, we will definitely let you know.
Okay, thank you, Monica. If you do have additional questions, please feel free to type those in the chat box, and we'll be happy to go back to those before we close. Just moving on again to the next steps. This is just a repeat of the timeline that we mentioned at the beginning. And then once again, I want to show you how to get to the home page where you're able to find resources, but I think we have another question. The answer to the supplanting question, if you can address that one more time.
Okay, generally using federal funds to support components within your literacy plan would not pose a supplanting issue. We did talk about the issue of watching your comparability, but generally this is not going to be enough funds for anyone to hire additional teachers that would throw off your comparability. Have specific things in your county that you may be wanting to pay for that you paid for with state funds in the past, you can contact us and we can talk through that. Anything that you're adding that would be new, because all of this is supplemental programming, if it's something new that you're doing that you haven't done before, you would not be supplanting. And another area which I didn't mention before is if you're running a school-wide Title I program and you're providing a Title I-like service, which just about everything within this literacy program that would be done outside of the regular school day, or even some within the school day, would be considered Title I type programming, where you are identifying specific students who are low achieving and providing supplemental services to them. If it's a Title I type program and you are using state funds, that's actually encouraged to blend and mix those funds. So, we can talk about that some more. If you have questions, contact us. We do have a federal program directors meeting in June. We can talk about that more as well at that meeting if you're working through these plans and you have specific situations that you're concerned about.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. Okay, and we're going to go back to the West Virginia Department of Education homepage. Again, the logo for the West Virginia Leaders of Literacy Campaign for Grade Level Readings right here to the left. When you click on it, it takes us to our campaign website. And then where the majority of the resources that are specific to your county campaign, you would go under Campaign and then down to the very last choice on the menu, the System of Support. And this is where we have housed all of the webinars, the PowerPoint, the toolkit, everything that you would need to walk through each of these steps of developing your action plan, implementation, and then now these resources that we've spoken of today, your timeline, resources, and funding.
And today's webinar will be posted directly underneath the timeline, resources, and funding link as well.
Okay, I think we have another question. Just a second. Let's see. The RESA competitive grant announcement reads that the deadline for submission is July 1st. How does that differ from the May 20th?
May 20th is when we expect, if not before, that the applications will be available online for you to see. So the RESAs will know the different components that will be asked in the grant competition.
Good question.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Before we go, I'd like to take a chance just very quickly to show, and I'm sorry about this, but I want to show them on OneDrive. Charlotte, can you go back to that, please? I'd like to show you where you'll actually submit your budget and your plan. With OneDrive, what you'll be getting as well, this will be per county, is access to each individual county will have its own folder, and we will send instructions in the coming week or so as to how to upload. I mean, I know that in the early literacy update we sent on Monday, it has some very specific information about how to upload documents with OneDrive, but I just wanted to let you be aware that each county will have their own folder, and that's where they will upload their documents, their plan, and their budget template. One last thing before I give it back to Charlotte is that with this county action plan template, should you choose to use it, please make sure you download and then save as. That is spelled out in the county early literacy update document you were sent on Monday as well. But if you take this particular file and manipulate it, then everyone who has access to this folder, all 133 of us, will then see only your county action plan. So it's very important that you download and save as to your device or your OneDrive as well. I'm thinking we might have had that happen already, and so I apologize for not making sure that we made that very, very clear early on. We just want to make sure everybody has the actual blank template available.
Now, and do just remember that if you have any questions, we are here to assist you in any way that we can. There's my email, my office number, as well as my mobile number. If you need help and I'm not in the office, feel free to call my cell phone. I'm more than happy to assist you in any way, as I know everyone here in the office is. Now, we would just ask before you leave, this helps us and you as well, if you wouldn't mind to go take the survey, just give us some feedback on the process so far, how this is working for you, what we can do to support you even better. So this is the survey link. If you wouldn't mind to just type that into your address bar of your browser. It's very short, and we just ask that you give us some feedback about this process again and how we can help you.
Special thanks today to Melanie Perkey, Robert Crawford, Office of Federal Programs. We appreciate them taking the time to be here today. Please let us know if we can assist in the future. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.